tonight. What could change that immediately, at least in a small part, would be getting maybe the best safety in the country. So Xavier Wampa is going to announce later today where he's going to school, and it appears as though he's choosing between Iowa, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. Tony.
Yeah, and being the Iowa native that he is, I think everybody expects it to be Iowa. So that's one that Ohio State kind of lost the race for. They seem to be leading for him for a long time, along with Zion Branch, another safety that was looking like Ohio State, and they were talking with each other, those two players, and you start to just almost chalk them up to being in Ohio State's 2022 class, and then things start to fall apart, and you see Iowa's defense play really well and maybe did enough to decide to keep him home. And so that's going to be a pretty decent loss for Ohio State. There was talk about, is Nwangba, is he a true safety? Will he grow into like an outside linebacker of sorts? So I think there's still an issue of where exactly will he play, but Iowa does have a nickel position that they like to use. And, you know, he could be he could step in right away next year and be a big part of that defense. So I think that's where it's going to go. I believe he announces at 3 p.m. I'm not sure if that's Eastern or Central. But yeah, that's one where Ohio State is now going to have to find out where to get another safety. And they kind of did with the Sonny Styles, which we'll talk about. But yeah, that's not a great close by the Buckeyes on Xavier Nwangba.
Iowa I have nothing really to add on him. I've never talked to Xavier myself. I don't know that I was ever at a camp where he was at, but everyone swears that he's one of the top prospects in the country. And yet, you know, I think it's natural that Iowa is going to have an inside track there just because of where he lives and everything. And they're such a great defensive team. And you look, they've put a lot of guys from that secondary. They're an offensive line and a secondary school. I mean, that in linebackers, they've done a great job putting guys in the NFL from a lot of those positions. So I don't think that is an indictment of anything that Ohio State did or didn't do well. I think they did everything they could. When you look that Proctor is coming back next year and he's going to play for Ohio State next year. Bryson Shaw got to play quite a bit. Certainly Ronnie Hickman was back playing more safety than bullet, at least the last couple of games when they put they put Young, who, you know, okay, fine, you're going to play me, I'm going to leave, you know.
I'll show you.
You're going to finally play me. I'm going to leave. I mean, he got his most playing time, it would seem, and I didn't look at the snap counts, but he was at least out there. He didn't start the Michigan game, but he did start the Michigan State game, which I think caught a little some people off guard. But back on Knowles, just real quick, I think one thing that one of my friends who's a coach noticed that he seemed to favor more three-man down fronts, and that may give them a little bit more versatility and flexibility to bring pressure from different angles and to do different things. And I think that when you talk about what the job description at Ohio State as defensive coordinator is, I mean, the overarching goal, obviously, you know, as we keep hammering every year, every week, three things: beat Michigan, win the Big Ten Conference Championship, and get into the playoff. Well, they failed on all three of those this year, and that'll be their goal going into 2022. But to win the Big Ten Conference, you have to slow down and stop a Purdue, which throws the ball X number of times. And then 2 weeks later, you've got to slow down and stop a Michigan team that was almost exclusively run in the second half of that game against Ohio State. So there's a lot on your plate in terms of the diversity of the different offenses that you're going to see, that you're going to go up against throughout the course of an entire season in the Big Ten. So it's not an easy job, I don't think. And in this modern era of football, it may take one personnel package to beat one team and an entirely different personnel package to beat another. So there are 30 questions that were left unanswered by this team this year. And I think one of them was just, again, why guys were playing at certain times and why other guys didn't, why you were getting gashed by Michigan and Tyleik Williams never really got much of a chance to get out there. Maybe he was banged up. I don't know. Ryan Day keeps so much of this stuff tight to the vest that you don't honestly know where these guys stand. I mean, Master Tig, as we harped on, 20 carries in the second half against Michigan State and doesn't travel to Michigan 7 days later. You're like, what's the explanation for that? Did he quit the team? Did he, was he really hurt? Did he get banged up on Bloody Tuesday before the Michigan game? I mean, what makes sense on that? There's one of 30 things that happened this year that there was no answer, no explanation, and we'll probably never know, but, whatever.